Hi, my name is Marsha, I'm the blonde from Coding Blonde, and today I want to talk about the best interview advice you will ever receive, at least in my opinion, because it has helped me so much going through a ton of different interviews, including the one I had with Google. And actually, the reason why I'm making this video is because I recently was at home and I found my notebook with all the notes for that interview. And okay, I think I'm ready to tell you what this advice is, and then we're gonna go through all the details of that piece of advice. And the advice goes like this: do your research. I know that's kind of maybe underwhelming, but you know what? It's helped me so much. I feel like it was the most important thing that I could do for that interview, and it's the most important thing that I always recommend anybody, my family, friends, anyone that I meet, anyone that I hear that has an interview, I recommend them to do their research. So when I was applying for the role that I had at Google, I made sure that I learned everything that I could about the company and the sub-company. So Google, and then the sub-company, I guess, was YouTube. I was working at YouTube, the team that I was working at, and the role that I was going to be doing. So I tried to research, read, and watch anything that I could find out there about this topic. And some of the things that I really recommend for anyone to understand going into interviews are, first of all, company culture and values. Those are so important because then you understand what they might be looking for in a candidate, and that also gives you an idea of whether this company culture and these company values are aligned with you. And it gives you an opportunity to showcase them, if that's the case, if they're aligned, to showcase them that you're a great candidate for them, taking into account these values and these culture aspects. Next, I would highly recommend for you to research the company's mission, priorities, challenges, goals, dilemmas, anything that you can find about what is happening with the company. What direction are they trying to take? What challenges do they have? And all that good stuff, because it's very important to understand their, I guess, mindset and framework, and understand how you can help them in this context. And yeah, just very, very important. So make sure you research that. The next level from that is, I guess, understanding the macro level of the industry. What is happening in the industry? Who are the competitors, and what challenges are they potentially bringing to the picture? I remember being specifically asked about the macro image. I had an interview that was dedicated to the industry landscape. So yes, make sure that, well, first of all, you can ask your interviewers if the interview is going to be about something in particular. They might answer, they might not answer, but you know, like, asking is always better than not asking. But do your research on the macro landscape of the industry. The next one is micro. You've guessed it, yes. We are talking about within the company, what is happening within the company, any operational news about the operations within the company, about its challenges and all that stuff. Basically, what is happening within the company at this point. Read, watch, anything that you can find. Maybe reach out to people on LinkedIn if you can, or if you're doing some networking, just ask them questions. Just be curious. And finally, make sure that you research all about your role that you're applying for. What does the day-to-day look like? What does success look like? What will you be doing? Who will you be working with? And all that good stuff, because the more you understand, the better prepared you are for the interview. And finally, one more thing that I think anyone should do when doing their research about a company, if you're very serious about it, and yes, you might be a technical person, but it's very good to understand the business side of things as the bigger context. So make sure that you try to do this at least briefly before your interviews. And I'm talking about the SWOT analysis. So it's an analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it is very self-explanatory. You basically write down, you can either divide a page into 4 sections and write those things down, or you can just have a list of them. You do you, but basically list all of the, based on your research, all of the strengths that this company has, the weaknesses that it has, opportunities and threats, because this way you would have analyzed the company and its context to the next level, and you would be so much more prepared for this interview. So yeah, that's my advice for you when it comes to research. How you do your research, again, it's up to you. You can search the internet. There's so much available. Read blog posts, read articles, you can watch videos, and then finally you can network. You can network in person or offline. You can always reach out to people on LinkedIn, for example. I've done that myself. I've reached out to people on LinkedIn and talked about a particular company. You might not get a response, but what's the worst outcome? You're not going to get a response. So, just do it. Reach out to people, talk to them, and learn more about the company that you have interviews with, because it's very, very important. It's important for 3 major reasons, in my perception. First of all, you understand where you are applying for, right? Because if you're applying for a job, you're planning to spend the majority of your days there, your time there, and you need to understand what you're signing up for, whether the company culture fits you or not. All these good things, you need to understand what you are about to enter if you are going to pass this interview. So that's one, that's for you. You need to understand and you need to know before you join the company. Secondly, it's very good to have all the background, because you might have questions that come up regarding these things. It's very nice to be prepared to answer these questions. It's very impressive to the interviewer. I've actually received comments from my future colleagues at Google saying that they were very impressed by how prepared I was for this interview, because I knew so many different things. I could list all the competitors, I knew what YouTubers were popular at the time, all that stuff I just knew. I knew the 10 fundamentals. Wow, now I'm getting old. 10 fundamentals and all that stuff. I knew what they wanted me to talk about, so it was very, very good. And also it allows you to ask better questions, because you shouldn't ask questions for the sake of asking questions, so do you like working there? But no, you understand what it's like to work there to a much better degree, and you can ask better questions. And if you're interested, if you truly are enthusiastic about this company, you will want to ask questions to be able to find out information, not for the sake of asking questions, right? And finally, I think the biggest thing that this indicates is your enthusiasm. If you're not enthusiastic about a job, then you will approach this interview, as another interview. But if you're super enthusiastic about working at a specific company, you will do your research. And that shows your enthusiasm, your interest to the employer. And I've heard so many comments from people who hire for a ton of different companies that if they compare 2 candidates, one that is super qualified and is amazing, and another one that's, qualified but not 100%, 120% qualified like this guy. But this one is super enthusiastic, and the first one who's super qualified is not very enthusiastic about working for this company. They will hire the enthusiastic one over the super qualified one. So just bear that in mind. People see your interest, people see your enthusiasm, so make sure that you do your research for your interviews. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know what else you would add to this list, or if you've done this before, what do you think about doing research for interviews? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful time of the day you're currently experiencing. Bye.